Philosophical Convictions, Ed. Thank you for joining us. Come on, girl. Kenny, oh, it's great to see you. Was it my title that grabbed your attention? Maybe? It's not just going to be a boring walk with Jasmine, that I'm actually um, going to have some discussion on the hot topic of the day. Well, more than hot topic, really. Um, I, I think we're all probably pretty numb from stuff in the news. So we aren't realizing just how significant this latest drop of files is. And by the way, as we're getting started, I will just note that I'm doing something a little different today with the filming, in that I have actually strapped the phone to myself so I can go hands free. That the little tripod that I've been usually carrying it around, or I can put it down on the ground. Um, you can curve around the legs of it. So I've like curved the legs around this like neck gaiter scarf thing that I have. And then it has the third leg of the tripod just like on my chest, like just above kind of where my heart is. And so it can like rotate around as I'm walking. And so I've got hands free and I can see. So you're getting like a point of view. I don't know, just experimenting. And I can pull it off at any time. Careful, girl, careful. I don't want her to. And then but I can pick it up. I can grab like with my hand if I want to. I mean, I just love it. These cacti. Careful, but I don't want her to stick on them. Just look at that cacti in the sunset. Of course, she's going to pull so much that I will just topple into it, and that'll be shocking. Just look at that. Awesome. Daniel, thank you for joining us. Don't worry, I haven't gotten started yet too much on the discourse. I've been waiting for more people to join, and I've just been getting sort of accustomed to the new way that I'm experimenting with rigging this the camera, that I'm operating hands free, being able to move around and film hands free, because I've got the camera on the tripod wrapped around this scarf on my neck. So getting point of view. And I assume the sound probably would be pretty good. Oh, oh, what happened? So I usually haven't decided to dedicate like one of these walks with Jasmine to a particular topic. Uh-oh, uh-oh, Jazzy, Jazzy. Uh-uh, uh-uh. Okay, shit. That's a bad sticky that she got. You okay, girl? Doesn't have any in her face. Okay, that's scary. Doesn't happen very often that she can get one of those things, but that's the Vinod. Vinod, thank you for joining us. Um, I guess I should get talking about the Epstein files now. That's the bait that I use to lure people in. So I do have to deliver, but I do genuinely want to talk about it, particularly because um, I did not expect this. I did not expect them to be this incompetent. In by them, I mean the Trump Justice Department, the people that are stupid enough to be working for him. Seriously, he should have resigned by now. Um, they've released so much stuff that you would have expected them to hold back on. That I mean, we all know that they're covering up stuff. They aren't releasing all the material that they're required to legally. Oh, there's a bunny over there. There's a bunny out there. Jasmine marking her territory. We know that they're holding back most of the material. They're trying to protect people. They're trying to protect Trump, but they're doing such a poor job of it. The material that's been reported, these various allegations against Trump, many of which are so salacious as to be absurd. But some of them, the absurd ones, you're kind of thinking, well, that could be true. Um, and I think that people are probably familiar with the most famous document that's going around now is just this collection of like the worst of the worst allegations about Trump and raping and getting his penis bit while supposedly being with a child. I mean, it's just everything that you could think of, and it would seem so outlandish, but you're like, well, that could be true. Um, and that's why they didn't want to release them. That's why you wouldn't release these things um, when just raw reports like this, because you don't know what's believable and what's not, and that's something that I've been having to like get people to calm down about and be like, well, we can't verify this material. We don't know who the sources of it is. Um, but just getting back to my original point, the fact that they let that document out, and it's my understanding too that they've actually pulled that one back. You go to where that's what's been so clownish about all of this. Oh, I won't get that on film. I will spare you guys that. Spare you guys that. Um, since we're talking about shit, um, they will like let documents out and then pull them back. I mean, after people have already downloaded them and made copies of them, it's absurd. It's like they're once a document's out and it's getting negative response, that's when they decide to like pull it back. So when it's already out, so they're like, oh, we have to hide this now. Okay, there's trash over there. I will go and pitch that over there in a dumpster. So the fact that they've been releasing all this material that you would have expected them to cover up, and then that they release, then they try and cover it up after the fact. It's embarrassing. It is really embarrassing that they're messing up the cover up in the process of it, and just being, whoops, okay. So the fact that this material is now coming out, and in terms of beyond the like really shocking rape and killing and type allegations, it's also quite shocking that we're now getting so many names of people that wanted to go to the Epstein Island, wanted to be at his parties, people who claimed they had dissociated and weren't interested. And we're seeing, oh no, that was BS. That all these men loved to go and party with Jeffrey Epstein. But apparently, some women too were entranced by him. I've been hearing about this lawyer, this woman who was in the Obama White House that for some reason started acting as his sort of consigliere. I don't remember her name, but she's somebody that's been started to be listed prominently. Okay. So that's really strange that they've let out this much material already, revealing the extent of the allegations and way worse stuff and new stuff. Um, and also, I've been reading today that they let out they didn't all with all this redacting to protect Trump's buddies and famous billionaires and so forth. With all of that redacting, they've failed to redact the names of a lot of victims. Redact names and been putting out nude photos. So it's like the victims are just being victimized again, and they're the criminals that harmed them are being protected again, and all in front of the entire world. And people are we're so inundated with all of this right now that and in shock that we aren't really processing it yet. But I had figured this out a few months ago that this is the reset button on our politics. Richard, thank you for joining us. Been discoursing about the Epstein files and about just how shocking this Friday release was, both in its incompetence and in its content. All the rape and murder stuff, naming Trump in particular, it's really gross. The fact that they let it out is shocking, and the fact that there's so many people that have been named now, and that we know the connections are deeper. That's really shocking. That they, I mean, we knew that that kind of stuff was in there, but it's still, when you see it, it's still shocking. Um, Covering anti-Semitism for 3 years now, I've come up with a phrase that I will throw at my editors every now and then when we talk about these things, and that is not surprised, still shocked. I can type that quickly, and that describes anti-Semitic crimes, and that it just describes how we are in America now. That it's not surprising. We should know, but it's still natural to be shocked by it. It still just means that, wow, she's excited. She likes this area over here. She's been pulling to go over in this direction lately. And if anybody has any comments or questions, go ahead and make them, and I'll try and respond. So, but the big thing. Oh, a bunny over there. Oh, cute. So cute. Yeah, there'd be bunnies running through the neighborhood, which is a nice silver lining, consider it's a neighborhood that's often trashed. And oh, over there. Oh, cute. So cute. What are Okay, but the big thing in particular from this Epstein files drop that um is going to take us a particular long time to start processing and figuring out. Um, and that is, I think we have enough evidence now to say that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were Russian assets. I think it's quite clear, or starting to be clear, from the things that emerged, particularly um, around cryptocurrency and the picture of Epstein's involvement in cryptocurrency and cryptocurrencies in the Middle East, Arab monarchies, and ties with Russia, and all of that. He was all up in there. Sonny, thank you so much for joining. Great to have you. I was just commenting that among the big revelations from the Epstein files, apart from the incompetence of this release on Friday and the shocking nature of it, and the number of people that are named in the emails, the thing in particular that I think is most important now is that the picture is really emerging that Jeffrey Epstein, I think, there's been this question of which intelligence agencies was he working for? Who was he helping? Was it the CIA? Was it the Mossad? Was it, I think, primarily Russia? That's what the evidence is looking at. That doesn't mean they didn't get, the other intelligence agencies didn't get stuff from him. Or what it probably was is simply that whatever Russia got from him, the other intelligence agencies were able to get because they have infiltrated Russia's intelligence services, most likely. So that's probably what it was. Oh, no, there's the bunny over there. Oh, that is, isn't that the ironic juxtaposition that here I am out doing something mundane and cute, walking the cute dog and looking at the cute bunnies and doing a little amateur nature documentary and pull into the sunset. Do you think he really killed himself? I don't. I think I think yeah, that's a very real possibility that he was murdered. Though it is quite possible that he may have killed himself because he could have known that the alternative would have been worse, you know? It's honestly that part of it is that part of the Epstein question and conspiracy um has never been the part that's interested me the most. Um I've really been more interested in thinking about who are all the specific people that he has the compromising information on. And also the money question. I got into figuring out the money question. I had a piece essay that I should republish this one every now and then. When I interviewed Edward J. Epstein, no relation, but he'd interviewed Jeffrey Epstein, and I came to understand the extent of Jeffrey Epstein's interest in the Middle East and Arab monarchies and how he made his money. That he was particularly involved in money laundering, in hiding money certain ways. Jasmine, which direction? Since Hillary was even peripherally involved, I lean toward that. Maybe. I don't put it past the Clintons. Maybe. I don't know. There's people that are probably, I don't know. Honestly, okay, you want me to talk, okay, I'll talk Clintons for a second. Um just to give everybody the context here, I was born January 1984, so I am supposedly labeled a millennial, but I reject that terminology because I feel like the real millennials are born after 1990. So I'm an exennial, and I have the politics of Ronald Reagan. They call her Hillary for a reason. I think you guys give her too much credit. Okay, that's the thing. I'm not very impressed by Hillary Clinton. So the idea that she is, that she is orchestrating murders, um, I'm not sure she's that competent. Um, maybe because that's sort of where I'm at with the Clintons. Um, I, I remember clearly my initial political understanding was being in grade school and my parents giving me a Clinton Gore button. Yeah, 92. I think I would have been in second grade then, or may have been third grade. This is a nice place to walk. Thank you, Jasmine. Good girl. Yeah, this is doing all right over here. This is peaceful. There's a sunset. So the Clinton years were my childhood through teenage years, and um so like I learned about sex in the context of Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. Okay, Sonny, okay, so you're still a fan of the Vince Foster conspiracy theories. Okay. I can respect that. Staying true to the old old school stuff. The original anti-Clinton conspiracy theories. Okay. Uh-oh. It was scary. Couple of dogs here. Jasmine, let's go back the other way. Come on. Come on, girl. Let's go. Come on. I don't want to go through there. So I've been putting up with Bill and Hillary Clinton and having them be imprinting on my political consciousness since I was a child. Bill Clinton was the default president for me growing up. And looking back on all of it now, I'm not that impressed with him or his presidency. Um, so yeah. And then watching Hillary Clinton's subsequent career and Hillary Clinton's involvement in the Obama administration, um, the ideas of um, these people are so competent that they're masterminding murdering their political opponents. It just seems silly to me. Maybe. So, but I understand people want to be fond for the 90s. But anyway, getting back on track. The Epstein files. Understanding Jeffrey Epstein as a Russian asset, that he was primarily working on behalf of Russian criminal interests, and the Russian criminal interests are pretty much synonymous with the Russian government interests, the Russian espionage state interests. When I was working with Yon Mihai Pacepa and learning about Soviet espionage from his perspective as the former spy master of Romania, I came to understand the whole idea of the so-called deep state before it was popularized in America. This was around 2013 or so when his book Disinformation came out. And he talked about how in Russia during the Cold War, the KGB was a state within a state, that it really wasn't the Soviet Union, it was the KGB. They were the ones really in charge. Why were they in charge? Because they had the power to assassinate whoever they wanted. When you have that power, you kind of have all the power. It's a wonderful sunset. And that notion that there's a secret deep state that is controlling things, that was then applied to America. That conspiracy theory that in America, it's actually the CIA that secretly controls things. Because that's what Russia does. That's the particular thing. Whatever they're actually guilty of, they will blame America for doing. And that goes back to particularly Kennedy assassination. Kennedy assassinated by a Marxist who went to the Soviet Union and was trained. He was trained to kill Kennedy, and he was supposed to, but he was never given the go-ahead. At least that's Pacepa's version of it, which I think is the one that makes the most sense, and he has the most credibility, being the highest-ranking Soviet defector. That Oswald was trained. He was part of an international conspiracy to kill the president, but he did act alone. He never got the go-ahead, but he just did it anyway, which is why he then had to be killed. And then all of these conspiracy theories blown up to obscure the Soviet hand. I'm sorry, you're really getting conspiracy theory corner now from Dave, goofball walking around in the desert, live streaming the dog at sunset, talking about the only JFK conspiracy theory that really makes sense. because it wasn't manufactured by the KGB, in which the KGB's actions were blamed on the CIA, blamed on America. And now it's been the same thing with the Epstein files, that there actually was criminal pedophile ring, only it was Russia behind it. Not America. It was Russia using their typical methods of honeypots, compromising information. Normal things that spy agencies do. Standard operating procedure in espionage. You get compromising information on your target in order to manipulate them so that they will commit crimes to advance your espionage agenda. I've been joking about it for years that Donald Trump's been compromised by the Russians. A lot of people have, because that's what espionage agencies do. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's just an understanding about espionage that you can get from totally standard historians. I believe it's Andrew Roberts is one. Go to just a Cambridge historian, read about Cold War espionage, read totally normal analyses of what the FSB is doing, how Vladimir Putin operates. And now we see that Epstein is just another piece of that, which is not the perspective that I used to have. For a number of years, I was more of the view, I was influenced by Edward J. Epstein's view, which is that he thought that Jeffrey Epstein was primarily just about money. He was explaining, he argued to me when I interviewed him, when his memoir came out. Jonathan L., welcome. Thank you for joining us. Talking about Jeffrey Epstein and how my view of him has been significantly updated from the latest release. That my understanding of Jeffrey Epstein was wrong. My understanding of him was particularly influenced by an interview I did with Edward J. Epstein, which was based on his own interview with Jeffrey Epstein and his knowledge and understanding of that whole space. And so I was influenced to see Jeffrey Epstein primarily as a money man, and his sexual stuff was just a secondary thing of his. That, yeah, he was perverted and spent and obsessed with this and all of that, but he was primarily interested in money and making money. That's how Edward J. Epstein argued it to me. And I took his word for it. His argument made sense. Oh, thanks, Sonny. Appreciate you joining us. Appreciate the little detour down Clinton Lane and getting to think about the Vince Foster and all of that stuff again. Please come back again. Really appreciate you. And subscribe to our Substack if you haven't already. So I took Edward J. Epstein's view of this because his expertise was superior. He'd known this space. He had actually sat down across the table and interviewed Jeffrey Epstein. But obviously, Edward J. Epstein didn't have the contents of the files that we now have. So we know more now. And what it looks like, what I've particularly gleaned from some of the things that's coming out about his cryptocurrency interests. Oh, this is really a nice place to walk back here. Good job finding a spot, Jasmine. It looks like cryptocurrency-wise, he was really setting up interests for Russia. And that cryptocurrency as a whole is Russian interest, because cryptocurrency enables people to subvert sanctions. So that's what Epstein was doing to a significant degree in the years. Jasmine, let's get out of there. Come on, girl. in the years before he died. Of course, this disgusting guy was doing something to lay the groundwork of the crypto crime network that we have now. God, I'm it's so not looking forward to having to learn about all this crypto shit. Jasmine, we should probably turn around and start going back. Come on, girl. Just realizing my battery's starting to low. I forgot that when you're live streaming, that just drains your battery. That's okay. We're not far. Where was I? I don't remember. Oh, so yeah, it's looking like Jeffrey Epstein was really Russian connected and focused on developing compromising information, which was of use to the Russians, and developing money laundering techniques of use to them. So now we get to think about put Epstein now into the puzzle with how Russia has been fucking with us, Americans and the West, um, for about a century now. I have to go back and look when the active measures started, if it was in the 20s or if it wasn't until the 30s when their spy services started going after us. I'm pretty sure it was at least in the 30s that they started going after influencing American blacks and seeing that that population was just ripe for communist subversion. I'd have to go back and check on that. It's been a while. Back in the Obama years, I spent so many years researching Obama and his left-wing mentors, and that was the sport back in those blogging days. Obama's first, and particularly his first term, because we kept thinking, oh, if we can only find some big secret that Obama has kept, that we can find something that will expose him and he won't become president anymore. So we're always looking. And Frank Marshall Davis was one of his mentors. And for a little bit, we considered maybe he was his secret father. But no, the evidence didn't really prove that. Would have been fun, though. That was a fun conspiracy theory to entertain. But no, the photos supposedly of his mother were not of his mother. So no, that wasn't it. But in researching Frank Marshall Davis, you learn about how the Communist Party targeted Black people in America, realizing that they could be pointed to as an oppressed minority, a proletariat to rage up against the bourgeoisie. That was obvious. So obvious, even the Russians could figure it out. Yes, that was a bit of anti-Russian culture stab. I have nothing, not talking genetics or any racial thing, but yeah, Russian culture, not a fan. And I've been quite explicit about that in pieces. I need to do a much bigger takedown of that. Easy, girl. Okay. So I think I've made the key points so far about the Epstein files, that we now are beginning to see that there is a ton of people that are deeply involved, as we suspected there would be. The Russian espionage ties seem to be quite significant. The cover up is embarrassing. The incompetence level of the cover up is so embarrassing that it makes it funny, which is normal. That's to be expected. That when Trump world tries to do a cover up of a crime, they're going to it's going to be a Coen Brothers movie. It's unfortunate that Joel and Ethan Cohen have stopped making movies together. Maybe they will come back together to tell the Trump story someday. That would be a great miniseries, wouldn't it? Coen Brothers do the Trump show. But so, what is the Epstein files going to mean as we continue to get more and more of the pieces accidentally coming out? What's that going to mean? Um, the destruction of both of our political parties. We're going to be entering a new political system, and it's going to be awesome. I just got the 20% battery. Okay, well, that's fine. We're almost home anyway. Yeah, both political parties are just going to be too totally tainted. Who's going to be left? What elites and big funders of either party is going to remain? We don't know. But both parties are just going to be too tainted, and it's really finally going to be possible for new things to emerge. She is eager to get home now. Smelling some barbecue. Well, I was intending for this walk to mostly be me like going hands free. But much of it I was like picking up and going like that. So I don't know. Okay, almost back home. Well, I hope this has been a useful brainstorm. Think for some of you regarding my initial impressions on Epstein files stuff. So just to summarize, I guess few of the main points. One, the level of incompetence at the cover up is shocking. That they allowed out this material and then tried to pull some of it back. I mean, that's been the most pathetic part of it. They let stuff out by accident and then tried to pull it back. So there's that. There's the number of prominent people that are already starting to emerge. There's the salaciousness of this unleashing of stuff, that it is really gross and more violent. Um, and then there's the Russian hand becoming much more clear. Oh, now, and I will just emphasize too the cryptocurrency involvement. So the role of cryptocurrency and Russia and sex trafficking and compromising information on billionaires. It sucks. I didn't get into politics for this. That's why I avoided the Epstein story for years. By avoided, I mean followed it to a degree, knew enough. I checked out, books on it at times, but I couldn't bring myself to read it. And what did I really need to know all of the details for? I think most people are like that. You're like, how much of the details of this do I need to know? And how much time? Uh-oh, do you got something in your foot, girl? Oh, can you get it out? I'll get it out for you, girl. Let's get that off you. Oh, okay. So yeah, how much time do any of us want to spend in Jeffrey Epstein's world? Because you see the pictures and like the way he decorated his house, and it's just like cartoonish. It's like what a teenage boy imagines their libertine sex dungeon lifestyle to be. Hey, Alan, we're almost going to be wrapping up soon, but so yeah, how much Jeffrey Epstein time did I want to spend? Not a whole lot. Enough. I didn't need to dive. We didn't need to dig into it. But then it became the political issue, and we now realize why. And we now realize the depth of the significance, and it's annoying that the conspiracy theorists were right about this. But whatever. Come on, girl. Jasmine, girl, are we going to go inside now? Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Or Jasmine, you want to go in the yard? Okay, we'll go in the yard for a second. She saw the trucks coming. She's like, oh, I got to watch this. Jazzy girl. So I guess the next step that we're going to be seeing is just people are going to keep digging into these files that are coming out, and we're going to keep finding new things and new connections. And this person was doing this and spending money there, and piece by piece, it's just going to keep coming out. But the big picture thing is that it's so severe, and there's so many people, and it's so toxic that it's going to upend our political system. And as a result, I'm detaching further from the political system here in America in the sense that Democrats, Republicans, left, right, I'm uh, just not really functioning within any of those frames. I've been in all of those quadrants, and there's nobody really there, no causes that are working for me now. I'm just writing. I'm just a journalist, an artist. And is that a bird over there? Yeah. I suppose I should keep offering something with this Epstein stuff. So now that I've emphasized um, key points that Jeffrey Epstein, Russian asset, aiding Putin's Russia in money, compromising information. And I would say probably because Russia initially had that compromising information on him. It was probably that. And KGB got compromising information on him and then said, "You'll work for us now." So he did. So I think that's their main thing is they'll get somebody in sex crimes, get somebody in underage sex, because that's the worst thing to be a man and you get convicted of a sex crime with a child. It doesn't get any worse than that when you're in prison. So it's like the worst thing that they can hold over. And then he would hold that over other men. They're wealthy, powerful men. Oh, I've got you with underage illegal sex act. Now I own you. That's what he was doing. That's what Russia does. So I published a piece yesterday explaining the 4 reasons why I was um, finished with my career in the counter Islamist movement as a writer, editor, activist, journalist. I'm not focusing on the Muslim Brotherhood anymore. I may still write some articles every now and then and talk about terrorism sometimes. Wrote an article about terrorism in Africa today, and that's an important issue still. Um, but not one that I need to dedicate tons of time to, as I'll write about and explain more soon. But Russia's a different story. So I'm more concerned about Russia now, particularly Russia's methods of influencing and supporting the far right in America and the far left, but particularly the far right. The far right is more violent, and the ideas of the far left have been integrated into the far right anyway. Their views about Israel, their support of Hamas. That's what Nick Fuentes has done. I wrote a piece over the summer all about this. So I'm taking up again a more kind of explicitly anti-communist, anti-Russia, anti-China, anti-neo-Soviet. That's the way to understand Putin. He's a neo-Soviet. He wants to reconstitute the Soviet Union. He thinks it's a mistake that Ukraine split off. He thinks that Ukraine is just part of Russia and it always is and should have been and so forth. That's what that war is about. He genuinely believes that. It's weird to say that about Putin. He genuinely believes that. But I think on that you can. I think you can say that about Vladimir Putin, that he genuinely thinks that Ukraine is part of Russia. That's something he's not lying about. When you're willing to sacrifice over 1,000,000 of your own people, yeah, you're maybe serious about that. Just monstrous, the number of people sacrificed in terms of for Russian nationalism. So, yeah, Russia, China, communism. Jasmine girl, come on, let's go inside. Okay. I'm down to like 5% battery now. So I'm going to stop live streaming, but I may try and do some more live streaming this evening. Jazzy girl, come here. Come say goodbye to the people on camera. Jasmine, come here. There she is. Come here, sweet girl. Okay. So I will try and do some more live streaming soon. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate comments, suggestions, things that you may like or not like. Take care. Bye bye.